before we introduce our panelists, a few things. I want to thank the ecosystem partners for the third time and the ecosystem partners that have provided raffle prizes. So please stay to the end just by being a part of this call. If you register before a certain time, you'll be entered into the raffle. Hustle, Flywheel, and Center for Private Business have offered raffle prizes as ecosystem partners. So we're really excited about that. And audience, this is for you. Again, ask questions, introduce yourself in the chat. If anyone wants to take a minute now to introduce yourself or talk about any events that are coming up. Alan, I'm sure you have something that's happening. I know May 5th is a big day for you, but anyone else, if you have events that includes the panelists, if you have events or anything that's happening right now, please hop on.
I would like to mention some events that I have going on.
Yeah.
In addition to my business, I also organize a variety of craft and vendor shows each year. And this year we added one that's called the Kernersville Craft Market, where we're taking artisans and handcrafters. And if you make your own product, you're pretty much in. That's going to be the first Saturday of every month from now through October. You can email me or give me a call. I'll give my information in a little bit. And then we've also got Kernersville Christmas in July, and that's going to be held at the Corners Folly in Kernersville. And you can email me for that information as well.
Awesome. Christmas in July. Anyone else? I see Alan putting up his May 5th week of events. Jumpstart, LinkedIn. Today we have I'll talk about the info session, but
yeah, I don't necessarily intend for you to read all of this, but just know that there is this flyer that we can get to you.
We can send it out.
Yeah, you can send it out, but you can also go to the Small Business Center page on Facebook and see what's going on for the rest of this week, which is National Small Business Week. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Alan.
I have something that's going on this weekend. So I create jewelry and accessories, and this weekend I'll be at it's called the Ardmore Walk, and it's set up with like 60 plus vendors like in the area of Ardmore and Winston-Salem. I think where I'm gonna be is 2363 Elizabeth Avenue, but there's gonna be, it's kind of like, to my understanding, kind of like a block party thing, and there'll be like vendors set up along the streets, and so that'll be on Saturday from 11 to 5. So if y'all don't have anything to do, hopefully the weather's nice.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I have an event. I just plugged it in I just placed the invite in the chats. Okay. It is it's a fun event. No vendors, just fun. It's called it's a murder mystery. We'll have it here at the studio. If you have an investigative mind or just need a break from Zoom and everything else we're doing, and we're capping it at 20 people. So if you're interested, the information is on the flyer.
Ooh. I've never done a murder mystery before. It's always been interesting to me though.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Anyone else? Any other events? Anything coming up that anyone wants to unmute and tell? All right. So moving right along, I'm gonna pass my notes. I do have an event. So I want to share that after this at 3:30, we are having an info session. Center for Creative Economy is having an info session about Velocity. Our applications for our annual accelerator are open until June 6th. And we will have a previous graduate on to discuss and talk about her experience going through the accelerator. Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? Kind of like that. And I hope you guys can join. I'm going to drop the link below, and it's 30 minutes after this ends. So hop on if you can. Okay, so we have 3 amazing entrepreneurs here with everyone. And I'm going to do a brief introduction and then let them introduce themselves and their businesses. I'm going to start with Cassandra Michelle Brunson. She is the founder of Design Plus, an interior design company with a mission to make interior design simple, easy, and accessible. Cassandra, please expand.
Yes, so we are located downtown Winston-Salem. And again, we are an interior design and an architectural design firm. So the inspiration for our business and the concept came from many opportunities that I had after graduating college, where, you know, I worked from flooring stores as a designer to retail designer. I worked for doing model homes, and I started working with builders and homeowners, and I discovered that they had to go a number of places to put together a look. So if they were renovating, let's say a bathroom, they would go to Lowe's for the paint. They may go to Butler Lighting for some lighting. They'll go to Pops for some wallpaper and maybe some glass or mirrors, but nowhere offered an experience where you could do everything in one location. And then working with the builders and their clients buying homes, the same type situation. So Design Plus not only wants make it simple by housing everything in one location, but we streamline the process as well. So that was the motivation and the mission behind our company.
Sorry, talking and muted.
I was like, oh, you want me to say more?
No, thank you, appreciate it. Our second panelist is Micah Brown, founder of Micah Brown Media. You can see him with his very high-tech Zoom Square. He is a filmmaker and photographer who I just found out is from Southern California and has worked with many local organizations. So go ahead, Micah.
Good afternoon. We are a turnkey media production company that offers business-to-business video, photo, live stream, and drone production. We're turnkey, so we're kind of a one-stop shop. The difference between us and most content creators or people that, you know, that are video people or photo people is the fact that we come from a marketing approach and a marketing background, that we want to understand how the content we're creating is integrating into a marketing plan and actually help people get results, not just pass off a shiny object. So like I said, we do only businesses. So if it's weddings and puppies and babies, like we don't do that. But we're happy to help all the business needs. Unless your business is selling weddings and puppies and baby related things, then we can help you. But yeah, I'm Mike with Micah Brown Media, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. And Aixa Maria Haskins. I asked you how to pronounce your first name, but I don't want to mess up your last name either. So did I pronounce that correct? Haskins?
You did.
Okay. Aixa Maria Haskins, representing Kernersville, is the owner of Aixa Maria's Gift Baskets, a home-based business operating since 2017. Go ahead, Aixa, please tell us more.
Thank you. Well, I like to say that I am no longer a home-based business. I actually opened up my storefront June of last year. It's almost been a year. Yay. Thank you to the Small Business Center. I was a member of the Launch Challenge last year, and I came in second place, and they helped me a lot to create my storefront. And what we do here is we specialize in helping busy people and businesses to create beautiful and thoughtful gifts while still keeping their budget in mind. Right now, we are taking pre-orders for Mother's Day and for Teachers Appreciation Week, just an FYI. And along with gift baskets in our store, we carry lots of other items such as local treats and goodies and candles and all kinds of things to make your gifting within your budget and within your recipient's personality.
Awesome, thank you. I'm sorry I had that wrong. I pulled that offline. So thank you all three for introducing yourselves. I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into the questions. We're gonna start with funding sources. So it is no secret that we have limited funding sources and opportunities for entrepreneurship in Winston and Forsyth County. Since the ecosystem would like to help solve that problem, what would you like to see in funding support? Anyone can start. If I need to call on someone, I will, but feel free to jump in.
I'll start. I mean, when I know starting my business, like it was hard to find, like, even like what I thought, like I went to like a local bank thinking like, hey, like my in-laws had been customers there for like umpteen years, you know. It's like I was coming on the scene. It's like I figured that like rapport would get you somewhere, like even in like a local outfit. And then to find that just like wasn't true. It was like it took a minute to get there, to just even get some initial funding, which like at the time when I started my business, like I was asking for like $7,500, which at the time, starting out, this was 2018, we 3 years this month actually. And at the time I was like, that's a lot of money. And then like when you grow and do a business and it's like, okay, well, it's not as much money. What was the big deal? Like, why was that so difficult? Because this, you know, it wasn't hundreds of thousands of dollars we were talking about. Like, so I would love to see more openness to risk, like less risk aversion from the established like local companies, like some of the local banks and things like that, that it's like, you can handle some of this. Honestly, you really can. Like, it's not as big a risk as your underwriter makes it seem. So that's what I would love to see, is just less risk aversion.
Cool.
I can actually piggyback off of that by saying, when I started my business, I launched March 2020, but I actually went through the process, I think through 2019 when I started looking for funding. And the same thing like Micah, it wasn't, like the information seemed buried to me. And I know we have like Hustle now and we have the Small Business Center, and I give them much props for what they do. They do it very well, but I did not find my funding through those outlets in 2018 and 19 when I began my search. So I don't remember what was out there, but I felt like I ran across it. I just happened to stumble across it. My thought process was, I saw that the city was booming. I saw the downtown area was being revitalized. And I wanted to, as a designer, I was like, not only do I just want to be downtown, but I want to be a part of how it's being shaped, the growth of it. I want to get into these apartment buildings. I want to design them. I want to decorate them, you know. So I was like, well, what? And I thought the city of downtown. So it was my thought process that took me to where I ended up getting my funding, which was through the Winston-Salem, Forsyth County City's revitalization loan program. So it was there, but that information was not, like, it wasn't public information. And I don't know how you make it public. I don't know if they buy ads on WXXI 12 or whatever, but you know, it was a hunt. It was a hunt for it. And so I found it and I'm very grateful. And so yeah, Michael that's to his point. And also having to be established, like that's also a big, huge barrier for startups. Like, so that loan is specifically set up for people like he and I, who traditionally do not have like a revenue stream or even capital, or can walk in a traditional bank and get funding. So again, it was exactly what I needed. But I think some of these other institutions and foundations or whatever have you, I think they do have the standards set as such where they're more geared towards the established entrepreneur or business versus the non-established and just the startups. So there's not a whole lot for startups. And then to move along with that, for the now through like Hustle, Small Business Center. So now we're getting to during the pandemic, how's the funding, you know, how's it been for us? So I still need funding because as a startup, again, I started March 2020. And so, you know, the hole that has happened, or the, you know, like trying to play catch up now is is a big thing. So there's been lots of funding that I have applied for that just haven't gone through. And I think there needs to be more guidance for funding. Like, so now everything is done online and on Zoom and digital. You don't have to walk into the bank and talk to anyone. That's a problem because we need more guidance for applying for these things. Especially as someone like me, and I know I'm getting a little personal, but I think that's what you wanted. So someone who does not have like this big long profit sheet to prove anything, how do they get funding? And they just open their business. So there are people and ways that you can talk to and ways that you can get through these things, but it seems like you have to have a degree in banking to understand it, sometimes the terminology, and we don't. We hire people to help us with our financial things, but we can't hire anyone to apply for a loan for us. So I think just more guidance there to sum it up. And then also some of the resources that have been shared in some of our outlets, I think they need to be investigated upon before shared, because some of those things end up being like a lot of junk mail. So there's some resources there, but they'll end up sending lots of non-useful information, or please enter this contest or that contest. So I think that some of those resources should be vetted and should be proven resources for funding before they're actually shared in some of these other circles that I've seen. So that's my tidbit.
Thank you. That was awesome. Sharing Aixa?
Mine is actually just in relation to that. They pretty much hit all the points. For me, it would have been pretty beneficial to know a lot of that information ahead of time before I even started in the Small Business Center, because I actually went to apply for a loan at a local bank here, and I honestly wish they would have told me from the get-go no, instead of wasting my time. So
there's a question in the chat. What sources do people turn to when researching resources, financial, marketing, etc.? What has worked for you? Friends, social media, Google?
So what sources do we turn to when we're researching? Well, when I started in 2018, I was not as connected to the Small Business Center than I became like a couple years after. So I would definitely send them to the Small Business Center and also Hustle. That's a great wealth of information there. And yes, Friends and Google, all of that you mentioned. I basically use Google and just pay attention to what's going on around you. Things that are in motion, try to follow it.
Yeah, for sure. I just, to Cassandra's point again, like I would answer the question, like starting out, it was just like, I mean, there's no handbook for this, you know what I mean? Like, so you're just kind of like, well, I guess all three of us, like, oh, I guess we'll just go to the bank, I guess, and see if they'll because isn't that where you get loans to do stuff? And then the bank's like, well, and then, I mean, now it's definitely having a strong network. I mean, there was even there was a grant I received earlier this year, and it was legit because one of my friends, one of my connections, who also has more of a creative revenue path, like the three of us, he's a furniture craftsman over in Greensboro. Because he received that grant, and like you were saying, Cassandra, he vetted it. He got the grant and called me and said, hey man, you should probably go check this thing out, because they just, here's the process and here's how, it was easy for me. And so it's really having that strong network. So that's something that is really good and really strong, that is built well in Winston. Winston is the ability to network and get together, because that's, it's together we go up. You know what I mean?
And I agree with them
Any
as
other
well.
chat question? Oh, sorry, go ahead,
But
Aisha.
you're fine. I'm just saying I agree with them as well. They mentioned a lot about the Small Business Center, and if I didn't have them, I might not be where I am right now. But because of my friends and social media, I was able to find out about them. So I would definitely recommend that if you know any business owners, whether small, large, what have you, connect with them in any way and just kind of pick their brain to see what they have tried and what they haven't tried. Doesn't mean that you need to copy everything that they do, but at least you're gathering some more information in addition to what you find on the internet.
Mm-hmm. And you know what works.
Awesome. Okay. Mentorship. What has been your experience with mentorship in the Forsyth County ecosystem?
Definitely the Small Business Center. They have
Yeah.
at least 20, close to 30 something mentors. And when I was in the Small Business Launch Challenge, I actually got to speak with most of them. And you can speak with them as often as you need to, as often as you like. I highly recommend it because there's somebody for everyone in there.
Could you expand a little bit on that, Iksa, and what was beneficial about the mentoring experience for you specifically?
On the Small Business Center's website, you can see a list of their mentors. And then under their name, you can see kind of what they specialize in, whether it's marketing or whether it's launching your business, or even if it's about accounting. So you can kind of pick and choose who you want to speak to about that certain topic.
I would just, again, bang the gong of networking. That for me, I did interact with a couple of people on a more official mentoring type relationship a handful of times. But the thing that I found most valuable was having those relationships that were more what's the word I'm looking for? Organic in their nature, and not necessarily a you know, hey, this person's in this specific mentorship type role, but just somebody who's a couple steps further down the field, where you go, hey, how are you doing this? How did you do this? How did you overcome this thing? Like, just more personally, you know, whether it's over lunch or coffee or something like that, rather than like a real dedicated channel. That was really valuable for me. Again, just finding people who had gone before me, in a sense.
Absolutely. And I definitely have to say the Forsyth Tech Small Business Center, I know we sound like a broken record now, but it really, you know, I went through the launch challenge also and got to meet the mentors there, and they were instrumental in a lot of decisions that I made with my business plan. My business plan was about 90% completed when I came there, but that other 10% was really huge because it involved financial projections and things like that. The stuff that I, as a creative, do not enjoy doing. And so they helped me to kind of, you know, reel that in. And it was again very instrumental. And I don't know if this is anyone here or someone might replay this and listen, but also the city of Winston-Salem, the MWBE, the business, what is that department? Office of Business Inclusion and Advancement. They also provide resources and classes for entrepreneurs or people in the city, businesses. And so Jakira Westbrook is someone that they actually conduct classes on, like how to bidding 101. I can't remember the name of the class. But anyway, that's a very resourceful department within the city of Winston-Salem. So yeah.
Thank you. Any areas in which you feel like it's mentoring is lacking, or you find that you're missing information, mentorship?
So Alan's going to get me because he's on here, because I haven't been to the Small Business Center in maybe a couple years now, or maybe at least a year and a half. Okay, let's say that. And so I don't know if these mentors are in place now. But remember when I spoke about some of the issues that we may have with funding, and that's being guidance through the application process. So I don't know if they have a banker on staff as a mentor, but I think that would be a good mentor to have available,
Okay.
and our financial analyst maybe, someone that knows that terminology and can help through the process.
Yeah, I'm putting his name in the chat now.
Oh, okay, good.
And I'm not going to get on it. You've been working hard on your business. Good job.
Yeah, I have. But someone else may needed to know that there was someone out there that can. And then I hear a lot about scaling business, and I'm all for scaling. And we have a plan to scale this business. But I think during this pandemic, I think people are thinking more about surviving than scaling. So I'd like to see some of the conversation go away from scaling to surviving. I know, I'm sorry. Oh, I thought someone tried to say something. I know I recently applied for a grant opportunity, and I won't mention the name of it, but they wanted to know how you were scaling your business, your plans for scaling. And I do understand from a business standpoint how that is important for investors. They want to make sure that you're not confined to your family and friends that live locally, and that you have a plan for your business. If they're going to invest in it, that you have a plan to be able to, give a return on their investment.
Yeah.
But I think now people are looking for ways to survive. And business-wise, maybe it doesn't make the best sense, but I think if you get people feeling comfortable about the support, that you want to support them in their survival, and you get to that next point, definitely scaling is then the next thing.
Awesome. That leads into my next. If Isa and Micah don't have any other mentoring suggestion, that leads me right into my next question. I see you unmuted, Micah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, to Cassandra's point, as far as the that kind of scaling things, that's something, like you were saying, mentorship could do better a little bit. I think is sometimes it can, in some of the accelerators and things like that, you can end up feeling, if you are on more of a, I'm trying to just build and grow a business to let me get sustainable, like you were saying. Sometimes a lot of the verbiage, a lot of the approach, a lot of the prep, a lot of the questions can feel like a huge game of find the Facebook, and that everybody's looking for the next rocket to the moon, and they're like, is it you? Is it you? Is it you? And so it's just kind of this let's churn through all the people, rather than let's help you grow a business. And if your idea of scaling right now is just getting to the point where you don't have to work another job, let's focus on that. It's kind of that, how do you define success? How do you define scaling for your business?
I hope. Thank you. Okay. Thinking about survival over scaling, what does the light at the end of the tunnel kind of look like for your individual businesses as the world opens back up for some, if not most?
For me, a light would be, I'm actually getting ready to hire my first person, my first employee. Yay. And so that would definitely be a lot off my shoulders. So that would be a light for me, so that I can spend more time trying to grow some more and work on a lot of other things. So that's my biggest thing right now.
Okay.
So I just actually, congratulations. I'm so happy for you. So the same thing happened with me. I just recently hired my first full-time designer. I'm so excited about her. She is rocking it out already. And that is relieving me in order to do things like this and get out there more and get some more business in. So I'm very grateful for that. So I was recently featured in a article published by the Triad Business Journal regarding the implementation of Virtual Design Center, which is centered around providing a digital experience to clients of custom home builders. So that's where we're headed. You know, when I opened this studio, we were moving away from that. So that is how we're repivoting our business, is by doing a hybrid online and in the store, in the actual studio itself. So we had to like refocus on the e-design, and it has actually helped us sustain and thrive throughout the pandemic.
I would say for me, kind of like light at the end of the tunnel, like, is really just being able to have more, for me, kind of in a weird way, COVID was the light at the end of the tunnel, because it took all of this that we're doing right now and put it on the forefront of everybody's mind. And so everybody went, oh snap, video is really important. And I'm sitting here going, I've been telling you that for 10 years. Like, you know, if you have a website, guess what? It should have video on it. Like, people understanding the leveraging power that comes with utilizing platforms like this is so helpful, and being able to show people the production thing, because now everybody was at home. It's like that stuff I was doing anyway was helping people do production and figuring it out. And so COVID actually, like, by the grace of God, we grew through the pandemic, like quarter over quarter. Now, when it all first started, that was crazy. Like, I had the conversation with my wife, you know, do I get a real job? But, you know, we stayed the course and things grew, and it's 2021 started out with a bang.
I'm gonna go off of him as well. Congrats on that. COVID was actually, although it's not a good thing, it was a good thing for my business. When COVID first started was basically when I was able to actually quit my full-time job and quit my part-time job and open up my store. And it was actually the busiest time for me when COVID first started, because people trusted me to help get their gifts out to loved ones and things like that. So it was a blessing to me, at least speaking in that way.
Yeah, there was a lot of creativity that came out of COVID. So even the e-design for me wasn't the way that we do it now in the process. We had to get really creative, and it's now not going away. And that does allow us to scale. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Okay. So hybrid versus virtual versus in-person programming. As entrepreneurs, do you see that virtual programming or hybrid programming is a necessity for entrepreneurs moving forward? I know, Cassandra, you kind of touched on it, that your industry and your business was going in a different direction and had to repivot based on COVID. So I wonder what that looks like for everyone else.
I'll start that one. Yes and amen. It's one of those things where if you say you have an event, now that everybody understands, like, there's virtual production and there's live stream production and things like that that's out there in the world. Say you're going to host an in-person event, and you say you're going to sell tickets or whatever, and you've got you've got your 200 capacity, whatever your venue size is, and that is going to be the limit of your reach, is going to be determined by your venue and your ability to market and sell people that want to come and be there in person. Okay, now who in their right mind, who's already running an event, has already done all the logistics, lined up all the speakers, done all the stuff, is not going to go, you know what, we should add an online experience to this and at least make that as good as we can for the people who maybe can't come physically because, you know, babysitter dropped out, I got sick or whatever, but I still really wanted to come. I still have an opportunity to come. You know, maybe I don't get hors d'oeuvres and maybe I don't get a swag bag or something like that, but I still get the information. I still get what I was after in the first place. It's like you dramatically expand and increase your potential reach, and also increase your potential for sales and so on and so forth of that in-person event. And you also bolster your ability to grow your community and your culture with the people that you have coming. So I'm a huge fan of, like, if you're going to do anything in person, like, also do the virtual side as well, and make it as good as you possibly can for the virtual people as well. That means don't just do your virtual, or don't just do your in-person and then do what a lot of people do, is would just take your phone and put it on a tripod like 20 feet away from the podium where nobody can hear or see anything and you can't respond to comments. Like, make it as good as you can for those people as you do the people that are there in person. And I think it's going to dramatically help a lot of businesses that thrive and build off of in-person type events.
In agreement? Disagreement?
Absolutely. Agreement.
That's interesting. So are the years of FOMO over? Fear of missing out? Like, if I can just attend any event virtually is along with Beyonce and whoever else, then what is the benefit of going in person? Like, for me, I'm an in-person type of person. Like, I want to see you and network with you, and I'm in businesses that lend to that. So I just wonder from your response, I was worried about that response, as you can tell. And so and it's just getting more and more complicated from, like, you know, Zoom, the platform end. People who own those platforms are entrepreneurs too, and so they're trying to figure out a way to make it more beneficial for them. So yeah, that was a long rant to say, is FOMO over? Is FOMO gone?
You have to make it stay if you want to sell stuff. But it's in the effect that it's not, oh, I can just attend online. It's the experience has to be worthwhile. So for example, there are like last April, for example, I was supposed to go to the National Association of Broadcasters. It's a show that's out in Vegas every year. And that's right when everything was going down. Mm-hmm. And then, so that trip got canceled, obviously. And then they produced some virtual, some online type things, just like we're doing right now. And I was listening to a couple of those sessions going, man, this is so great. This is so awesome. This content is amazing. This is exactly the type of reason why I'm involved with like these expos and stuff like that. But they said, hey, we're doing the in-person thing. Like, we're starting it back up. It's not in April. We pushed it to October, but we're starting to open things up. And I was like, as soon as they threw up that announcement, I'm like, I got my hotel, I got my car rental and everything. And it's because I want to be back in that atmosphere, in that personal space, to be able to see it and touch it and feel it and interact with the people, and as well as get the content. And so the fact that there's a hybrid model where it's like, I can go see the stuff that I wasn't able to go see in person. I mean, this thing's huge. So there's no way you can handle it all in like one day. So the ability to do the online portion of it is also hugely helpful. So when you're talking about events that size, it just makes total sense. So I don't think it's a fear of missing out. I think it's a plus and kind of situation.
Coming up,
you can tell I don't feel strongly about this at all.
There's a question in the chat from Aisha. As small business owners, are you all attending the only virtual events?
Actually, things are starting to be a little a hybrid for me. I belong to a few professional organizations, and we're starting to open up with Greater Winston. Yeah, it used to be the Chambers, now Greater Winston. We have a networking group, and we're starting to meet in person now. And I also belong to the Home Builders Association, and we do some things in person. The crowds are like 15 to 20 people or less. and we're spread out. And if we can go outside, we do, but it's starting to open up slowly. But there are some things that are still either a mix where you'll have some people on Zoom and some people there.
Mhm.
And then like this one, for instance, we're all on Zoom. So it's slowly opening up for me.
I'm with you. Most of the events I've attended so far have been virtually, aside from some of the craft shows that I've done. I consider those networking events as well, because I get to meet all kinds of people that do the different things. But I am also a member of the Kernersville Chamber of Commerce, and I believe they're starting to open up some in-person events as well.
And I'm like Cassandra and Iaxa, I'm part of the Louisville Chamber, Louisville Clemens Chamber, and they're looking to get back into meeting in person. And then I'm also part of BNI. It's a global networking organization, and we've been virtual since March, and they're just now putting in some procedures and things to be able to get chapters back in person, but still being able to figure out some sort of a hybrid model for the people that are either not ready, either mentally or are for physical reason, immunocompromised those types of situations, to be able to accommodate those people that still aren't quite ready for that stage yet, but to be able to accommodate the people that are. And then I've been to a couple in-person networking events for some independent groups, and I don't know if this has happened to anybody yet, where you do where you forget that there's the whole and you go and do the handshake, and it's weird, and you're like, oh, I forgot how to do this. I missed that part of it. So eventually we'll get back to that, where we can just shake hands normally. That would be nice.
Yeah. Okay, I have one more question, because I don't want to not ask this question. And if anyone has questions, wants to interrupt, we're at the audience section of question time. My last question is, if ecosystem partners could take one thing from this, what would it be? What do you think we need to leave with? And it can be something that you thought of that I didn't ask.
Okay, I have one if everybody's going to be quiet. So as we all learned, I'm an interior designer, and I haven't seen a whole lot out there for the creatives as far as funding, grants, opportunities, things like that. I see a lot of biotech, I see a lot of restaurants, I see a lot of bars, I see a lot of everything else, medical field. But I think people forget about designers, in a sense that we are the ones that shape the world, kind of like when you walk in the hospital, we probably designed that building or the materials in there to make it safe. And we are the ones that are helping people get through the pandemic by helping them select the right colors to add to their home. So we do go beyond that. I mean, our day-to-day is super technical in some phases of a project, but super creative in some phases. And I just think that because we aren't doing things that are found to be important, that we don't get a lot of grant and funding opportunities, and that are specific to us. Some grants and opportunities I have ran across have been heavy on the other side, like the technical side of the world, and chemical and biotech and things like that. And I see way more of those than I do for the creative side. And even if it's not interior design, I'm biased to that, of course. There's still artists and that have to survive, and other creatives that have to survive as well.
Yeah, not taken seriously as a hard skill.
Yeah.
Hard
Yeah.
skill.
Yeah. Well, and I would totally back up Cassandra 1,000%. There's a difference, because there's arts-based grants, like the art community. If you are, there's a difference between a working artist and a creative professional. Like that's a huge difference. Yeah. Because is what I do artistic to a degree, and design artistic to a degree? Yes. Am I a working artist? No, I'm a creative professional. it's almost should be a professional creative. Like it's like the professional part comes first, the business part comes first, and then it's like, yes, there's creativity in there, but having that to fund the business side and not just see it as like, oh, it must be nice that you take pictures for a living. That would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then for me, I back them up as well, but just something else overall that I think people should take from this is this is called the voice of the entrepreneur. So make sure that you do have a voice in some way and use it, because if you're scared or you don't ask questions, then nothing is ever going to happen.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I saw a question in the chat there from Nadia about a cleaning company that required to see places that need to clean. What do you do face-to-face meetings with customers, but giving virtual quotes is a risk take? What will be good advice on how to mix virtual and face-to-face with their kind of business? Nadia, I try to do, I would say like a FaceTime. I know I have a lot of realtor friends that do showings that way. They walk around and they do the FaceTime. So you call your client and, you know, hey, flip the camera around, let me see the damage, let me see what we're dealing with. Okay, let me see the underside of it, you know. Maybe that's a way that you could integrate that.
Yeah, I definitely do both. I do, like with my e-design. Well, e-design, nope, I'm sorry, that's totally online. But now that we're getting out more, we start off on Zoom with what we call a discovery call. And it's about 15 or 20 minutes. You haven't invested a lot of time. And basically they're in their homes and they're kind of showing me the space that they're interested in having some work done to. And so you just take that time to kind of qualify them as a customer. So you let them take you exactly to the areas that need to be cleaning, and you can say yes or no just from that. And then if it's worth going out, you assess the risk and make a decision from there. That's how I do it.
And then even just to kind of reverse some of what y'all said was, if they don't feel comfortable holding the camera and showing you around, maybe they're comfortable enough to let you in their door masked, and you have the camera or something like that, showing that what you're doing and what you plan on doing, and they can see it from the other side.
Any other questions in the chat? Thank you, Micah, for noticing that question.
I think that's it for the chat.
Okay. We're gonna go into the raffle to try and stay on time. Tasha, can you take over? I believe it's a wheel, right?
Yes, it is. Let me get the wheel going.
So we're gonna
Would you like
put
to
the
tell them
name.
what the prize is?
Oh, yes. So we're gonna put it'll be a random drawing raffle. Tasha will get the wheel going. And so the first prize is from Hustle. Thank you, Hustle. You get a marketing assessment. That is our first one. Winner, 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 chicken dinner. Joy. I didn't see Joy on here. Are you here, Joy?
Do they have to be present to win?
I don't believe so.
All right, we will get in contact with her.
Let me just quickly say that I just saw on social media that Joy is the new director of the Women's Business Center that will be located at the Enterprise Center.
Awesome.
So she's a winner in more than one way, isn't she?
And her last name is pronounced Lu?
I haven't met her other than social media.
Okay. Just wondering. Okay, our next prize is from Flywheel, and that is a 2-hour meeting room for free. And the winner is, looks like Carla Mounts. Yay, Carla.
Hey, Carla.
And we'll reach out via email. And our last one, up to a $1,000 value, is Center for Private Business. Thank you, Center for Private Business. A free membership. Well, they tell you, there you go. Keenan Heaton. Thank you, Keenan, for registering and being here. I can't see everyone. Thank you, entrepreneurs, for answering all of our questions. Thank you, ecosystem partners, for being here, community members for being here. That's all I have. Please come to our info session in 30 minutes if you can, and ask me more questions. I look forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.